A very good morning and a warm welcome to all the teachers, students, and guests present here today with us. Today, we all have gathered here to inaugurate the two grand events that are going to take place for the first time in the history of St. Augustine's Day School, Barrackpore. After a long toil of hard work, done by the students and teachers, we take pride in the launching of a collection of short stories, Panache, and also by hosting an epic conference, AuxeMUN Chapter 1, our very first inter-school modern United Nations conference. Every little hurdle we overcome to make up to this success is all because of the Almighty's blessing. So, once again, let us come together and pray to God, thanking Him for showering upon us the power and enthusiasm for which we have accomplished so much. Let us bow our heads and place ourselves in the presence of the Lord. Dear Lord, we stand before you in humble prayer before we start with our program. We realize that without your blessings, we would not be able to succeed with the plans we have for this activity. Bestow your grace and divine wisdom to all of us present here so we could cooperate and enjoy the camaraderie and love for the greater glory of your name. May you grant us peace and happiness as we go about our activities. Bless people around the globe that they may enjoy peace and the goodness of your love. We ask all these through your mighty name. Amen. When lost in the dreary, gloomy darkness, it is always the guiding light that fades the cloud of darkness building around us. So let us light the lamps and embark on our journey. Our beloved founder, Mr. C.R. Gasper, the great man who founded and pioneered to build St. Augustine's Day School. Let us pay homage and respect to him. For us, the Augustinians, our rector sir was such a guiding light, holding whose hands we have all made this far peacefully. Today, on this grand occasion, we all pay him our respect and love that we have in our heart. Let us begin today's program by showering petals to his picture. It is said that English language is a work which is always in progress, and so is in progress the activities of the English Literary Club of St. Augustine's Day School, Barrackpore, our very own Lidbuzz. Over time, Lidbuzz has been organizing various events such as the monologue competition, enactment competition, debates, English week, and finally, panache, flamboyance in each verse. It is a collection of short stories exclusively written, edited, designed, and illustrated by the students of St. Augustine's Day School, Barrackpore. Now, I would like to call upon our school captain, Ms. Shrija Pal, who is also the editor-in-chief of Panache, to introduce the literary piece to all of us. Over to you.
Thank you, Vishakha. A very good morning to one and all present here. I am Shrija Pal, the school captain and editor-in-chief of Panache. Panache, a collection of short stories, is a dream come true for Litbus, the English Literary Club, and the students who had devoted their heart, soul, and time for giving it a shape of reality. The speciality of this book lies in the fact that it has been written, edited, designed, and illustrated by the students of St. Augustine's Day School, Barrackpore, and is a unique attempt in all respect. The date was 15th October 2021 when this dream in the form of a ball of clay was handed over to me and my team by Mrs. Anesha Sen, the teacher in charge of the literary club. And after this long 3 months of constant effort, we feel proud to say that we could successfully give it the shape of a book. Thank you, ma'am, for choosing us for this project. I would also like to thank our CEO, sir, Mr. Amitabh Chaudhary, Mrs. Janet Gasper, our president, ma'am, our principal, ma'am, Mrs. Jhuma Biswas, vice principal, ma'am, Mrs. Sweta Ray, headmistress, ma'am, Mrs. Atri Mitra, coordinators, Ms. Shruti Boshak, Mrs. Bhavna Kumar Sharma, Mrs. Ipshita Roy, Mrs. Rama Raut, and Mr. Tanmay Bhattacharya, and finally to all the English teachers for supporting us in every possible ways. I feel extremely happy to announce that the response that we had received from the students was beyond our expectations. Little had we expected that there would be so many enthusiastic and bubbling writers submitting their stories for the book, and I would like to mention the fact that the stories really gave us a tough time while sorting them out. They were all great creations, but survival of the fittest was the law to be followed. Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much, and I really found the true meaning of it. I was lucky enough to get such a strong and hard-working team. The head of the designing team, Onik Pal Chaudhuri, a student of class 10, and the head of the illustration team, Snehangana Bhattacharya, a student of class 12 humanities, along with their teams, were the two reliable pillars supporting the project. Being the chief editor of Panache, I would like to thank the editorial team for being so focused and meticulous. It would not be a lie if I say that the book would not have been a creative piece without the creativity and skills of the people who worked on it. Speaking about creativity brings to my mind another unique feature of the book. The book has got a QR code. Once the readers scan the QR code, it takes them to the flipbook version of the book, enabling them to get the essence of flipping the pages as they read. Therefore, the readers get an ebook version as well as a flipbook version in a single document. This is an idea of the designing team who tried to erase the remorse of not having the book in hand for now from the minds of the readers. I can assure that each story has been read, edited, designed, and illustrated by the respective teams with utmost care, patience, and love. Every year, the school publishes its own magazine, but Panache is something new and different. It is exclusively a collection of short stories similar to the original anthology of short stories that we get in the market, maintaining a professional standard in all respect. This shall be the first book that is to be published in the name of the school. I hope that through Panache we could make our school proud. In fact, my team and I feel extremely elated to have been able to be an active part in this attempt. Now, just like all good things come to an end, our hard work shall also come to an end with the launch of Panache. I feel happy and emotional at the same time. Working with my teammates had turned into a habit. Now, finally, I would like to say that panache, flamboyance in each verse, is just the beginning of something innovative, and I hope that a new panache with a separate name but same motive shall continue to take birth every year. Thank you, and over to you, Bishakha.
Thank you so much, our school captain and chief editor of Panache. Indeed, a brilliant job done by our students. Kudos to all of you for the dedication and effort you have poured into the work to make it a happening. Indeed, it is a dream come true. Now, I would like to request the teacher in charge of our literary club, Mrs. Ornesha Shane ma'am, to take over and introduce our today's guest of honor, Mr. Chirojit Paul. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Bishakha. And we are extremely happy, extremely elated, and honored to have Mr. Chirojit Paul with us. Mr. Paul is an Indian novelist and playwright. Genres of his fiction includes dark comedy, romance, crime, psychological fiction, political, historical, and mythological fiction, science fiction, utopian fiction, magical realism. The list is endless. His body of work includes commentaries and essays on history, politics, economics, business, and contemporary society. Let me mention that Sir is a chartered accountant by profession and an author by passion. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us and gracing this occasion.
Thank you, sir, again for being with us here today. Sir, I would request you to launch the book. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, Principal Ma'am. Good morning, teachers and my dear students. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I take this opportunity to release Panache, Flamboyance in Each Verse, a collection of short stories published by the students of St. Augustine Day School, Barakpur. Best of luck. Good work done.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for launching the book. Sir, I would like to ask you to share a few words with us, and it will be a pleasure to hear from you, sir.
Hi, good morning. Thank you again. It's very heartening to see that 2 years of pandemic has not been able to dampen the spirits that people, young minds like you, um, are holding up strongly. Having cultivating these habits and hobbies, these are very important in life. You will not realize today, you will realize it tomorrow, because the mandate from our parents that we get is always to become a doctor, engineer, MBA, chartered accountant like me or anything. But they will not teach you, or they'll not be able to teach you the importance of all these things, all these childhood habits, all these hobbies, passions, the importance of these things that will emerge very important when in the subsequent years of your life, when you join a corporate, when you work hard, when you try to rise in the corporate ladder. Life is not always very easy. There will be defeats, there will be stress, there will be, and we have a habit of comparing ourselves with our peers, right? All the time, everybody does. So the more you compare yourself with your peers, somebody goes ahead, you fall back. Sometimes you go ahead, they feel bad. So all this kind of stuff keeps on happening. So it's very important for everybody of us, all of you, especially I will tell this to the younger people, that you should carry on with your hobbies, carry on with your passion, so that you have an avenue to switch off from the stress, from the race, take some time off, uh, unstress yourself, detox yourself, and then gather a lot of energy to come back into the race. Because both the things will have to run side by side, right? You cannot sacrifice one for the other. I'm also trying to do. There are several people who are trying to do the same thing, and just if you would believe me, it's a good life. It's a very healthy, wholesome life. It's a very peaceful life if you can carry on both the things at the same time, because you know you get stressed in one and you can distress in the other. So just try to be that. Keep your objective as your life goal should be to be happy and not to be rich, because richness and happiness does not really compensate each other, or does not really equate with each other. So objective should be to be happy, and to be happy, to be a wholesome person, you need to carry on keeping these habits, your hobbies, passions, your everything that you're doing now. It's a very good thing that you're doing. Please carry it on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for inspiring us. Thank you so much for all your valuable words. And it is really an honor to have you here with us today. With the launch of the book being done, I would like to call upon Mr. Anuran Basu, the Secretary General of AuxeMUN Club, Sindhagastines Day School, Barrackpur, for introducing the conference. Over to you.
Thank you, Bishakha. We are indeed delighted to have with us the excellent collection of short stories, Panache by the Literary Club. Let us now move on to the next segment of today's program, the inaugural of AuxeMUN Chapter 1. From the inception of the MUN Club in our school, our delegates had been constantly showcasing their diplomatic skills in different conferences and winning several accolades like the Best Delegate Award, special mentions, and even outstanding delegate awards for our school. Not just that, but we also had conducted Model United Nations conferences within our school as mock MUN sessions. It is now time for us to step outside our home ground as we conduct our first inter-school Model UN conference. I would like to call upon the head of institution, our principal ma'am, Mrs. J. Biswas, to kindly share a few words. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Anuran. So, good morning to one and all present here. I am here to share a few words first about MUN, which is the Model United Nations. As we all know, the different representatives of the different schools, the students' representatives, all of them have been practicing this. So they are aware of this club activity. It is generally an extracurricular activity which is practiced all over the world in schools and colleges, mainly from middle school onwards. Now, Model United Nations is a club which is popular because it talks about international relations, and we as a school we took it up, though it is there in this circle from 1950 most probably, but we took it up this club in 2007. Now, St. Augustine Day School Barrackpur, the vision of the school says, with the winds of change, we aspire to create a learning environment, inculcate values, and promote all-round excellence to build global citizens. Now, if we are to provide a learning environment to our children, and if we are to promote the concept of global citizen, what better than MUN, the MUN activity? So we started it in 2007. And as the Secretary General Anuran Basu informed you, we have been doing within the school, we have been doing several sessions of the MUN. But this year we decided, let us go outside and let us bring in other schools to participate in an inter-school MUN, so that the students get exposed to each other and learn from each other. MUN is all about that. MUN is about learning and working together, solving the problem and coming to a solution together. Keeping that in mind, it is going to not only be a learning experience for our students, but students of other schools, and also it will increase their public speaking skills. So we decided that we will be inviting the schools to participate in an online inter-school MUN. So now I take this opportunity to invite and to welcome the students from different schools. The host school being St. Augustine's Day School Barrackpur, we welcome you, and we feel that it is going to be a good experience for all of us. We welcome the students of St. Augustine's Day School Shamnagar. We welcome the students of Aditya Academy Senior Secondary School Damdam. We welcome the students of Aditya Academy Secondary School Barashat. We welcome the students of MC Kejriwal Vidyapith Howrah. We also welcome the students of Gospel Home School Risha, St. John's Diocesan Girls Higher Secondary School Kolkata. So welcome all students, all teacher representatives, and I am grateful that the heads have joined the meeting. Thank you so much for joining our inaugural ceremony. Now, I also thank the principals because we were going through a difficult phase during this time. But still, when we invited the schools, the principals gave me immediate response, and we got such a good response. I'm sure this is the first inter-school MUN, and year after year, it will become more and more glorified. Today, my address will not be complete if I do not talk a little about Panache, the short story edition, which was just inaugurated by Mr. Chirojit Paul. Now, this book is different than others. Why? The reason, let me explain. First of all, we have the school magazines. All schools have school magazines. And as the guest of honor, Mr. Chirojit Paul, novelist and playwright, he said, during this pandemic, I have seen children have ultimately vented their feelings through their passion. So the students of St. Augustine's Day School Barrackpur, they have been writing in newspapers like Shrija Pal, who is the editor-in-chief. Shrija Pal is also the captain of the school. I'm very happy that she is involved in this passion as a captain of the school, along with her excellent academics. She had been writing consistently in NIE, and this year, I think she had 5 articles which was published in NIE. So keeping that in mind, so Shrija is the best person to be playing the role of editor-in-chief, and also I have to be grateful to one of my teachers, Mrs. Annisha Shen, who took the leadership of this literary club and who has seen to it that this book is released. This book is different than our magazine in the way when we do the school magazine and other publications from school, we take external help. We take the help of the professional people. But this book, as it is written, edited, designed, and illustrated by the students, it is self-done. They have not only written the articles, but they have composed the entire book themselves without any help from school. And they have published it themselves. So thanks to the entire team for doing such a creative work. And I also want to reflect on what our guest of honor said. Mr. Pal said, he said that children, please continue with this passion. Number one, he said that it is so nice to see the happy faces. Thank you, sir. It keeps us going, sir. The students, whenever we have interactions online with them, when we see Srija, when we see Bishakha, when we see Onuron, it keeps us going because these 2 years have not affected their spirit. They are still smiling, they are still doing all the, and they are doing more now. So keeping that in mind, it keeps us going. So thank you, children, to see your happy faces. It's an excellent thing in the morning. And the second thing is, sir also said that maybe this may become your profession. We are having in the evening, we are having the career fair for our own students. So it may become your profession. If your passion becomes your profession, that will make you very happy, I know. But even if it doesn't become a profession, please keep on continue with the passion because it de-stresses us. What sir said, please remember, when you are stressed out with your professional life, your passion, if you are singing is your passion, writing is your passion, that will de-stress you. So keep that in mind and please continue. When you listen to the chief guest and the guest of honor, please take the lessons from what they are saying. So keep writing, keep enjoying the work that you are doing. And I thank you once again for doing it. I will not continue further because thank you so much, because we also have the chief guest today, Dr. Sayyid Tanveer Nazreen, the director of the Indian Cultural Center, First Secretary, Embassy of India, Maldives. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us. Ma'am is already there. I am very, very anticipatory and I would love to hear from her. So I would like to give it over to the students, to Onuron back, and I will be waiting patiently here with all my energy, with all my passion to listen to ma'am with her vast experience and joining us from Maldives. So ma'am, thank you again for joining. And we would like to listen to you. And I would like all the students to listen to your experience, which you have a vast experience. So you will be sharing that with our children. And I would like to learn from your experience of life. Over to you, Anuradha.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like to give it back to our MC for today, Bishakha Roy.
Thank you so much, ma'am, once again for your valuable words. They were indeed enlightening, and it is actually a proud moment for all of us because the seniors of the MUN club took a lot of pain to initiate and host this inter-school AuxeMUN conference. Well done. And now I would like to request the teacher in charge of our MUN club, Mrs. Mo Banerjee ma'am, to take over to introduce our today's chief guest, Dr. Syed Tanveer Nasreen, who is joining us all the way from Malé, Republic of Maldives. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Vishakha. On behalf of St. Augustine's Day School, Barapur, I take this opportunity to welcome our chief guest, Dr. Syed Tanveer Nasreen, who has joined us all from Malé, Maldives. We are overwhelmed, ma'am, to have a personality of such high profile to motivate our students. Dr. Syed Tanveer Nasreen has been educated at St. Xavier's School, Burdwan, Presidency College, Jadavpur, and Jawaharlal Nehru University. She has taught in a university for more than 20 years and has served in various administrative capacities. Her areas of specialization comprise gender studies and cultural history. She has authored several books and articles and travels to various countries as a resource person on gender and culture. She has been a member of the IVLB of the US Department of State in 2017, in which capacity she had a first-hand interaction at the United Nations. She has traveled to countries like Bangladesh, Malaysia, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Fiji, Hong Kong, Vietnam, Australia, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan as a visiting scholar and professor. She is currently serving as First Secretary Culture and Director, Indian Culture Center, High Commission of India at Maldives since 2019. Apart from this, Professor Nasreen is a theater enthusiast and a trained Bharatanatyam dancer. We are thankful from the deepest core of our hearts for joining us, ma'am. I would now request you, ma'am, to share a few words with us. Over to you, Dr. Nasreen.
Hello, good morning from Maldives. And thank you very much, St. Augustine's Barrackpur, for having me here. I am in the middle of a Sankranti celebration here. And only when you are out of your country, you can understand how diverse, how varied, and how beautiful your country's culture is. So we are here, actually, you can see the grounds behind me. And we are here, people from all over India, sharing our culture with our friends in Maldives and friends from other countries also on the occasion of Makar Sankranti and Pongal, Lohri and Bhogali Bihu. So we are having all of it together. So I just came out of the stadium to avail myself of this wonderful opportunity to meet the young, talented minds, because there's a lot of noise, as you can understand, inside. And I'm actually in the middle of a road right now, attending this conference. And as you heard in my introduction, it was actually a great pleasure to be a part of the interaction of the United Nations in 2017, when I visited the US as a part of the International Visitors Leadership Program. And it is also very interesting to be in a country that has chosen the uh, the United Nations General Assembly President, Secretary of this year. And I congratulate you for this MUN for many reasons. One of them being the excellent training in diplomacy and international relations that young minds, that children do get, and empowering the youth, empowering our youth in research, public speaking, in debates, and in writing skills. Also, I think this is a wonderful training, as I was an academician for 20 years of my life, an argumentative Indian. But then as I joined the bureaucracy 2.5 years ago, the diplomatic bureaucracy, I understood that it is very important from our childhood to learn to forward your points of argument, because we need to encourage critical thinking in times when conformity and mindless submission are expected to be normal. So in families, in households, in social milieux where debates are encouraged, where free thinking is encouraged, actually is, I believe, a very, very strong, very fertile ground for budding diplomats, people who would interrogate social issues, social realities in future and try to find answers to them, try to find solutions. Finding solution is the last stage, perhaps. First, we need to identify them and then engage with them. After generations of engagement with particular issues, perhaps we can think of heading towards a solution. A solution is not always easy, but to identify the problems and to engage with them is something very, very important in today's world, particularly in the COVID situation and post 2020, the world that we are living in. I also encourage the idea of the MUN because of the training in teamwork and leadership that it provides. And if I'm not mistaken, the first recorded instance of a model UN conference was at Swarthmore College on April 5th, 1947, as early as that, in which over 150 students from over 41 colleges participated, and the General Assembly of this model UN way back in 1945 had recommended that member states, I quote, establish an international control and develop atomic energy, conclude a treaty on disarmament, how wonderful, that the UN adopt uniform citizenship for refugees, and also that the UN Charter is amended to adopt a definition of aggression, and that nations promote the reconstruction of devastated areas through economic assistance of the UN. So in the early 1990s, the model UN MUN spread to Europe, the East and South Asia, the Middle East, North Africa, and Sub-Saharan Africa consecutively. In our country, the Dune School Model United Nations is one of the largest inter-school conferences in the country, with delegates coming from all across the Indian subcontinent and beyond. The IIMUN is another youth organization that put together annual conferences in 160 cities in 22 countries. So I congratulate you for taking up this initiative in one corner of our country. And these are initiatives that are being taken up in several schools and colleges in India right now to prepare our future generation to take up that leadership, to engage with global issues. And as I was saying, I'm currently serving in Maldives. And as you know, the Maldives right now has the United Nations General Assembly president of this session. So I have seen the president, Abdullah Shahid, quite closely as the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Maldives. And I have seen how in a country like Maldives, the exposure, the engagements, the debates, the confrontations, and the motivations actually raise a person from this small island country of Maldives to the UN headquarters in New York. So I also hope, I sincerely hope that one day you too from those parts of Bengal, from Barrackpore, would make it to the UN. All the best to all of you. And if not just UN, there are several global bodies coming up already there where you can actually make your mark by this questioning mind, the ever inquisitive mind, and trying to find an answer. So all the best to the young minds who would be participating in the MUN today. And thank you once again, Mrs. Mo Banerjee and St. Augustine's School for inviting me to be a part of this session. Thank you so very much. I'm sorry I would not be able to be with you throughout the session, as I said, because we have to carry on with the Sankranti, but I would definitely love to be a part of it for some time. Thank you very much and congratulations all over again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We can assure you that with your inspiring words, we are going to mold some more excellent mothers who are going to make us even more proud. And we are really pleased to have you amidst us today. Thank you very much again, ma'am. Now it is time for the Secretary General's address. For that, I request Mr. Anuran Basu to take over. Over to you, Secretary General.
Thank you so much, Vishakha. Good morning, everyone. Before I start with the Secretary General's address, I would once again like to thank Dr. Nasreen for taking out so much time from her busy schedule and inspiring us with her vast knowledge. Thank you once again, ma'am. Well, as I take this platform to welcome you all in the first Inter-School Model United Nations Conference of St. Augustine's Day School, Barrackpur, being the Secretary General, my heart fills with joy. Our institution believes in developing all-round excellence of an individual so as to build them up as global citizens, and I feel extremely fortunate to become a small part of their exhilarating ventures. The responsibilities of a Secretary General in helping our institution conduct this MUN conference were not less, but never did I ever understand this pressure, as there was constant support from our school management who were the sources of enthusiasm for not just me, but I believe the entire organizing committee. Thus, as the Secretary General of the conference, I am thankful to each and everyone who helped us launch this session. Here, a mention of our Charge d'Affaires, Shubham Mahato, must be made, whose non-stop efforts helped us all with the management of the event. With that being said, let me take this opportunity to throw some light on our conference itself, the AuxeMUN Chapter 1. In the maiden chapter of our inter-school conference, we will be simulating 5 very different but equally dynamic committees. The agendas of the committees were designed in such a way by the Secretariat that as a whole, this conference enlightens us about the immediate emergencies of the world, the past global feuds from which important lessons can be learned even today in the geopolitical spectrum. But even after all the seriousness, we don't lose out on a touch of fun. The first committee to be simulated is the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women. The agenda for the same is deliberation on the fragility of women's status in Afghanistan, with special emphasis on human rights of women after Taliban's return to power. The committee would be chaired by Ms. Srija Biswas, with Vice Chairperson Ms. Oshmita Banerjee and Report Chair Mr. Debarko Paul. The second committee to be simulated is the 1950 United Nations Historic Security Council, which would discuss developing strategies to de-escalate the Korean Civil War, emphasizing on the re-establishment of the 38th parallel border line. We have Mr. Pratik Guha Roy as the chairperson, Ms. Riddhi Roy as the vice chairperson, and Mr. Mohit Giri as the report chair. The next committee shall be a fictional one, which is the Ministry of Magic, a special Harry Potter committee, which would be chaired by me as a supreme mugwump, with my pillars of support, Ms. Sneha Ghosh and Mr. Abhirupak Chattopadhyay as the presiding mugwumps. Our discussion would be on the crisis due to the re-emergence of Lord Voldemort, with special emphasis on identifying and locating anonymous Death Eaters. Deliberations on bridging the gap between traditional and digital media, with special emphasis on unethical media law practices in the global journalism sector, shall be done by our next committee, the World Association of News Publishers, under the able guidance of our Deputy Secretary General, Ms. Srija Banerjee, along with Mr. Swapnil Ray and Karan Tripathi as the Vice Chairpersons, and Ms. Bishakha Roy as the Report Chair. Lastly, we have our very own National Committee, the Lok Sabha, whose prime agenda would be the Citizenship Amendment Bill of 2019. We have our Director General, Mr. Omlan Ghosh as the Speaker, along with Ms. Orkomita Basuroy Chaudhary as the Deputy Speaker, and Mr. Surmit Kumar Chaudhary as the Secretary to the Lok Sabha. With that being said, it is time for the opening of the committees and the gavel distribution ceremony. And I request everyone who are using mobile phones to kindly rotate your device in the landscape mode for full screen view. Thank you. Now, let us move on to the most prestigious part of an inaugural ceremony. In this conference, we are having 5 different committees, namely the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women, the United Nations Historic Security Council, the Ministry of Magic, which is a special fictional committee, there is the World Association of News Publishers, and lastly, we have the Lok Sabha. To begin with the gavel distribution ceremony, I, Anuran Basu, Secretary General of AuxeMUN Club, would like to declare the conference open. It is time to open the committees individually. For that, I would like to distribute the respective gavels to the chairpersons to declare their committees open. I will begin with the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women. For that, I would like to pass on the committee gavel to Ms. Srija Biswas, chairperson of the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women.
I, Srija Biswas, Chairperson of the United Nations Commission on Status of Women, officially declare the committee open.
With that, we have the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women open. We now move on to the opening of our next committee, which is United Nations Historic Security Council. For that, I would like to pass on the gavel to Mr. Pratik Guha Roy, chairperson of the committee.
I, Pratik Goharoy, the chairperson of United Nations Historic Security Council, officially declare the committee open.
Thank you, Pratik sir. Now, I would like to pass the gavel on to Ms. Srija Banerjee, chairperson of World Association of News Publishers.
I, Srija Banerjee, the chairperson of the World Association of News Publishers, officially declare the committee open.
Thank you, Ms. Srija Banerjee. Now, we move on to the opening of the Lok Sabha. For that, I would like to pass on the gavel to Mr. AuxeMUN Ghosh, Speaker of the Lok Sabha.
I, AuxeMUN Ghosh, Speaker of the Committee, the Lok Sabha, declare the committee officially open.
Thank you, AuxeMUN sir. The last committee which is to be opened is the Ministry of Magic, which will be chaired by me. So I, Anuran Basu, Supreme Magwam of Ministry of Magic, declare my committee open. With this, we come to the end of the gavel distribution ceremony. Each of the chairperson declared their committees open, and now we can officially announce the beginning of AuxeMUN Chapter 1, an inter-school Model United Nations. Thank you, everyone.
With the committees officially open, it is time for us to start with the committee proceedings. I look forward to brainstorm a lot with my peers, know the unknown, but most importantly, build some everlasting bonds of friendship and have fun. I would like to wish luck to all the delegates as I conclude the Secretary General's address for this conference. Thank you so much for lending your ears patiently to me. Let us sing the school anthem before we proceed with our committees.
Learning leadership, loyalty,
Thank you everyone for being with us throughout the inaugural ceremony. Every delegate is requested to leave this platform and join their respective committee links, which have been already shared with you by the chairpersons in the committee groups. Thank you, everyone.